Well, it seems unexpected. Aditya Ghosh has now been leading the company for several years now. He's been an integral part of the Indigo growth story. And you can't fault him on performance. He's been able to deliver on industry-leading growth in a business that is complex and a business that has not really seen too many winners in India. I mean, at a time when you saw the likes of Kingfisher, etc., floundering, Indigo has been delivering, solid profitability. And he was also leading the company through its IPO. So this is unexpected, but it's also interesting to see who comes in to replace Aditya Ghosh. Greg Taylor, former United Airlines executive. I remember a lot of the the leadership of the company is former United. Gangwal is also a former United Airlines executive. So Greg Taylor coming in from United, who's also served at Indigo in the past, and he comes in as president and CEO. Aditya Ghosh will stay on till the 31st of July, according to the disclosure that they've now made to the stock exchange. So as I pointed out, it is unexpected, but you cannot peg this as a performance issue at all, because if anything, Indigo under Aditya Ghosh have delivered industry-leading growth. So one has to, get a sense of what really transpired. Maybe he wanted to move on, or there have been some differences over some decisions. I mean, some of the issues that one can talk about in the recent past that have led to some questions being raised, of course, around the A320s, but that's, an issue, more a Pratt & Whitney global issue. Have there been issues with respect to the handling of that? There have been, issues in the recent past, again, of misbehavior, especially when it comes to passengers, and there have been some very public confrontations, which has impacted the Indigo brand, and has, of course, captured mind space and headlines. But these are the recent flashpoints. Whether this has had anything to do at all with this decision, one doesn't know. It's pure speculation, and I don't think it's fair to speculate. But, the fact of the matter is that Aditya Ghosh is out, and that's all that we know, that he will leave on the 31st of July. And, he ends a great innings at Indigo, and he's been able to deliver on not just profitability but on market share, on growing the fleet, on growing the network, growing operations. So a job well done, I would say, at the end of the day.
Absolutely, Shireen. In fact, as you were mentioning, they have announced at this point an interim CEO, Rahul Bhatia, will of course be taking over. And that perhaps underscores the suddenness of the decision, because if this was a smooth transition, then they may have announced a CEO in place. But for more on that, let's also bring in our aviation correspondent, Ashpreet Sethi. She joins us live as well. Ashpreet, quite the shocker, as Shireen was saying, their profitability is high, market share stands at over 39%. What do you think? What have you been hearing through the day? What could have led to a decision like this?
Well, if I go by the sources that are there in Indigo, they are clearly indicating that while some issues were already brewing as far as the whole Indigo saga is concerned, as Shireen was rightly pointing out, the whole aspect of how A320neo was a big issue. Then also there were certain concerns regarding how Indigo went ahead and said that they will bid for Air India, but now they've also said that they might not. So these were certain issues which were brought up during stakeholders meetings. But what I pick up from my sources is that Aditya Ghosh will be looking at a bigger role somewhere else. Now, we won't be able to confirm that as of now, but sources within Indigo have said that he's planning to move on. In fact, even when we go through this press release that has been issued by Indigo, it is saying that it is quoting Aditya Ghosh saying that for the last 10 years, it has been a relentless and most satisfying task building Indigo. However, I want to make sure that I take the next step and sometime in the near future embark on my next adventure. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there, because with Rahul Bhatia as the interim CEO, we'll have to see how the airline goes ahead. Because remember, the stock was also down about 6.3% this morning. Back to you.
The point that I wanted to come in on, clearly the market had a whiff of this, because if you look at the way that the stock was performing, it was down about 6% today. So did the market get a whiff of what was to be announced later formally, one doesn't know. But again, just to point out that Aditya Ghosh is a lawyer by training, so didn't really have much to do with the aviation industry. So is he going to stick with the aviation industry? Is he going to look beyond the aviation industry? I mean, that's going to be an interesting question to answer. But from a markets perspective, the fact that Rahul Bhatia is an interim CEO and the fact we've got somebody who understands the Indigo story and also understands the aviation business coming in, perhaps that will allay any concerns about a transition and about what happens from here on. But this is certainly an interesting development coming at the time that it has.
But Shireen, what do you think could be some of the immediate challenges, whoever takes over this position going forward? What do you think will be the new challenges in front of the CEO who will be taking over from Aditya Ghosh, since he'll be leaving behind a great legacy, of course?
I have to point out, Ron, and this is a company that I have sort of studied during the course of the last few years, as doing the shows that we've done. I mean, this is a company that believes very, very strongly in alignment at the back end. It's a well-oiled machinery, which is why you see them being able to turn their planes around as quickly as they do, which is why they have the kind of utilization rates as they do, which is why they have the kind of market share as they do. So, this is an institution. This is a well-oiled machine that has systems and processes in place. So I don't necessarily think that there is going to be any big impact on that front. And plus, you still have Rahul Bhatia as well as Gangwal there. I mean, this is the founding team of the company. So they're very much there, and Rahul Bhatia is going to be the interim CEO. But of course, the challenge will be crude oil prices, which is the challenge not just for Indigo, but for the aviation company, crude at 75, so that's going to be a challenge. And of course, what happens as far as the A320s are concerned, because remember, while the 11 A320 NEOs that were grounded are now back up and running, but there continues to be some concern on whether we could see the situation, develop again with the NEOs, etc. That's going to be an issue to watch out for. In terms of being able to retain their market share, I mean, SpiceJet has been fairly aggressive in the market. It has been eking out market share. Passenger loads have been, pretty robust for SpiceJet quarter after quarter, also delivering on numbers. So, it will be imperative that Indigo holds on to its market share. So these are going to be some of the, the challenges, the issues, and of course the issues with respect to what we've seen in the recent past, the passenger skirmishes, which has, where the brand has taken a bit of a beating. So that reputational sort of building back, so to speak, I would imagine that that's something that will have to be worked on. But this is a strong brand. It's a strong operation. It's a strong airline. So it's not as if, the Greg Taylor, who's the new man coming in, is going to have to sort of do some meaningful pivoting, so to speak. I mean, he's just going to have to continue to do business as usual and continue to build on the foundation and the momentum that currently exists.
But owing to the complexity also of the aviation industry, Shireen, it's a very specialized industry, of course, so whichever CEO takes over will have their own share of challenges. Do you think somewhere, the competitors of Indigo, SpiceJet, Go Air Jet, do you think they might be looking at this development with some amount of relish and glee? Do you think that they'll be happy, with the fact that somebody like Aditya Ghosh is moving away? And then, of course, whoever takes this position will take some time. There is going to be a gestation period.
Yeah, competitors would obviously, if it disrupts your competitor's business, I'm not sure about glee, but, I'm sure that they will look at this development with interest, and it can't hurt them, right? So they would, of course, be interested to see how this plays out. But, Ron, I have to say that for strong brands and for brands that have a clear vision, have a clear go-to-market strategy, the CEO, the president and the CEO is the glue that sort of holds it all together. But, this strategy has been in play for several years now. It's not as if there's, this is something that's been playing out for the last year or 2 years. So it's fairly matured, the Indigo and the Indigo strategy strategy is a fairly matured strategy now, and I don't believe that it is going to have any significant knock-on impact. There